Hey guys, Steven here with one of our patrons, Zach. How's it going, Zach?
Doing well. How you doing?
Good. We're bore sighting his deer rifle for the upcoming deer season, and we wanted to go ahead and make a video of it. Between Don and I, we'll get solicited for assistance on bore sighting a rifle a few dozen times a year. Patrons who want to get their rifle zeroed in and do some shooting before they take it out in the field and hunt, which is a very smart thing to do. It's a very good thing to do, to come out and familiarize yourself with your rifle for that year, or especially if it's a brand new rifle. Bore sighting it first and then coming out to the range to get it on paper and put 10, 20, 30 rounds through it is a very smart thing to do. So anyways, we've got a setup here. We've got his Remington bolt action rifle. What's this chambered in?
30-06.
This is a 30-06 Remington model 770, right?
Yes.
And he's got a what scope is this?
Burris.
It's a Burris 3 to 9 variable power scope. And what we've done is we took a couple pieces of leather. You can use a t-shirt or whatever, pair of old jeans, whatever. And we've lightly clamped it into a vise. Not hard, just enough pressure such that if you bump the gun, it's not going to move up, down, left, or right. Okay? And then you pull the bolt out. Of course, unload the gun, make sure it's clear before you start any of this. Got to say that in every video, otherwise we get addressed for it. Unload, show clear, pull the bolt out. Then what you want to do is pick a spot. So we've got about, 10 feet in front of it. Most houses don't have very big rooms. We've put a piece of paper up. It's a dark background, so we got a piece of paper up so we can get some contrast for the crosshair. And this first marker here, and you can use a piece of masking tape or scotch tape with a marker or construction paper, whatever you have. I wouldn't recommend writing on your walls with a permanent marker, especially if you're married. So your first marker is where your bore is pointing. So you pull your bolt out and you look down the bore, and it's nice if you have two people for this step. You have somebody there moving the marker for you, and you can tell them up, down, left, right. And once they get it right where it needs to be, then they stick it to the wall or they make the mark there. Then what you do is you go back over to your gun and you take a ruler and you measure the approximate distance from your bore center axis to your scope center axis. Okay, doesn't have to be dead on, but just make it close. So here, if I set this ruler on top of this frame, on top of this stock of this rifle, I can measure up and I can see we're between an 1 3/4 and 2 inches to the center line of our optic. So I want to come about 1 3/4 above this mark that we've made over here, and I want to put another marker. So there we are. There's our second marker, 1 3/4 up. Now what you want to do is you want to adjust your scope crosshair to where it lines up with that mark. The reason why we're making it line up with that mark and not with exactly where the bore is pointing is because we've got trigonometry, right? Is that right? Is it trigonometry? We've got trigonometry involved here, huh? Or geometry? I'm sorry, geometry. We'll edit that out. Actually, no, we'll leave that in there. Okay, I did that in 9th grade, so I'm giving myself a pass for that. I don't care what you guys think. Okay, geometry. So we've got a triangle here, and if we adjust the scope, so this is the scope. The ruler is signifying the scope, and my arm is signifying the bore. If we adjust the scope down at 10 feet in front of the muzzle, to where it and the muzzle are pointing exactly in the same spot, then when he goes out to 50 yards and puts his crosshair on the target at 50 yards, where's his bullet going to go, guys? It's going to go way high, man, 100 yards, even higher. I don't know. I've never done it before, and I don't want to try it because I don't like sending rounds over the berm. So the reason why we're doing this is so that we can avoid missing the backstop. Okay, so you guys, whether you're one of our customers or you're afar, this will help you avoid missing the bullet trap, whatever your bullet trap may be, a hillside or a pile of dirt or whatever. So that's why we adjust it up the difference. It's called offset. So you've got the offset from your bore center line to whatever optic or sights you are using. Okay, which in this case is 1 3/4 inches. And what that'll give you is at somewhere between probably 50 and 100 yards, the bore and the optic will intersect. So we're just lengthening out the point of intersection of the hypotenuse and of the base of the triangle. Okay, and then we got the height over here. The height is 1 3/4 inches. Okay, all right. So come on over here. So then the next step is to look down the scope, and you guys probably can't see, so we're not going to bother with that too much. But we've got, so the crosshair right now is aiming. Can I see it with you? The crosshair right now is aiming about right there. So it's kind of halfway in between the two dots, and it's over to the right. So what Zach's going to do, come on up, Zach, is he's going to look through here, try not to bump the gun too much, and he's going to adjust his windage and his elevation. So this adjustment here adjusts your windage. And different scopes are made differently. Like you can see, this one has an arrow that says when you turn it clockwise, you'll move the crosshair, you'll move the bullet impact left. Some of them are set up and they say you're moving the crosshair to the left, and some of them you're moving the bullet impact to the left. So what I like to do is look, and while I'm looking, I'll turn the knob, and I'll see where the crosshair is moving. Okay, so when I turn this knob counterclockwise, my crosshair moves to the left. Okay, therefore, okay, so there, crosshair is about on. Now I'm going to redo that. Go ahead. You come up and adjust that thing. And so what Zach's going to do now is he's going to look through there, and you can kind of rest your cheek on the cheek weld if you want. And he's going to adjust his windage and elevation to where they're in line with that top marker. And you can go back and forth, kind of get the windage about right, and then get your elevation adjusted pretty close, and then go back and tweak them. And it'll also say on there, you know, different scopes are you know, on the adjustment knobs. You'll see like this one's 1/4 inch at 100 yards. Some of them are done in MOA. Some of them are a half an MOA a click, or a 1/4 MOA, or a full MOA per click. All right. So then we're going to come up here. Yeah, you're getting pretty close. Looks like you need to go up and to the right a little bit. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
So then when Zach goes down to the range here this afternoon and goes to actually shoot the gun and get it on paper, this will greatly speed up the process, and it'll be a lot safer too. You know, and most ammunition, especially high-powered rifle ammunition, isn't cheap. So you don't want to have to spend, you know, 50 rounds getting your scope where it needs to be. Plus, we'll see some guys who don't bother really doing much bore sighting, and they'll come out and they might bring 5 shots, and they'll just kind of sort of get it on paper, and they're okay with a group this size, because they want to aim at the body of the deer inside of 100 yards. But really, then when those guys take a 200, 300, 400 yard shot, they'll miss a lot of the times, or they'll hit the underbody, or they'll skim the top, or they'll get a leg or something. Then the deer's wounded and it runs off and they can't find it. So doing due diligence and taking time to bore sight your rifle, and then come out and get a nice pattern at whatever distance you want. I think 100 yards is a pretty decent distance for this terrain. I've heard of some guys downing a deer here in Indiana at about 400 yards, but I'd say most shots are within around 100 yards, plus or 100 plus or minus 50 is probably about the average distance for a high-powered rifle. You do have some cornfields that you can stretch out and get several hundred yards worth, but most folks aren't comfortable with taking a shot like that. So how are we looking now, Zach?
I think we're looking okay.
Okay. All right, so
pretty close.
Pretty close?
Yep.
Yeah, that looks good enough to go down on the range and give it a shot. See where you're at. So now the next step, and now this won't be on the video, but the next step is Zach's going to go down to our standard range. He's going to make himself a target, put it up at 50 yards. You could start closer. You could maybe do 20, 25 yards. He's going to put it up at 50 yards, a full-size sheet of paper. He's going to shoot it. You're going to be pretty close. He's probably going to be within 3-4 inches of where he wants to be. He's going to take a couple shots. He's going to make some more adjustments, most likely to his elevation, probably not much to his windage, because again, the windage controls your left to right, and the elevation, remember we're doing this triangle thing. We've got geometry going on here. He'll make some tweaks there, and then he's going to move on out to his desired distance, 100 or 200 yards. So, anyway, Zach,
Appreciate it, Steve.
stay safe out there,
All right,
and I hope he bags. What do you want this year? A doe or?
Just want some deer meat.
You just want some deer meat. That's awesome. That's kind of the way I am. I don't care too much about the trophies as much as I care about that awesome venison.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which do you like? Do you like jerky?
Summer sausage.
Summer sausage, guys. I like the spicy meatball. No, I like the spicy jerky. What do you like, John?
All of it.
All of it? All of it. You're an animal. All right. Well, guys, stay safe out there, and hope this helps you bore sight your rifles at home. And like I said, you can do this in the comfort of your own home, and you're not going to freak out your neighbors by opening up the garage door and putting a little marker on their garage across the street or anything. You can do this really close. You can do this 10, 12 feet in front of your rifle. Just don't forget the offset. Don't forget, make a mark where the bore is pointing, then measure your offset, make a mark where your optic should be pointing, and that'll help you get to the right distance. Okay, that'll help your impact be about where it needs to be at 50 or 100 yards. Anyways, guys, stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.